Hi, good afternoon. My name is Daniel and this is my channel, Engelgeist. Welcome to the channel. For those of you that are new here, welcome. Your presence is greatly appreciated. For those of you that are familiar with me and visit me often, welcome back. Aquarius, either with a sun, moon, or rising in Aquarius, you may want to watch this video. This is going to be a 12-card spread with the mini deck, the Harmonious Tarot. That's going to be placed on this wood block. I am going to explain as I shuffle why I chose the Harmonious Tarot. Because I feel like 2020 is going to be a more harmonious month, just the numbering of it. If you look at 2020, it's an angel number, which obviously, is much more balanced and peaceful. 20 and 20 are both even numbers. They also numerically boil down to 4, which is a number of stability. So I think that we're going into a new decade, so I do think that there is a sense of harmony and a renewal that's happening in 2020. I'm also noticing that throughout the different predictions for all the other signs. If you know what your sun, moon, or rising is, I would check them out and sort of do a cross-section of the 3 videos. I know these videos are kind of long, but if you watch through them and look at all of the information, you might actually get a pretty detailed reading as to what you may expect for the year. What was I going to say? I am available for private readings. If there's anything you see in here that you want further explanation, you can go to the description of the video and contact me via my Facebook business page, and that would allow you to book a private reading with me for further insight. Beyond that, if you want to support the channel, please hit the subscribe button. For those of you that are watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you're notified when I go live again. And for those of you on Facebook that might be watching from my Facebook business page, because this broadcasts to both areas at the same time when I shoot it live like this, give the business page a like, or go over to YouTube and give me a subscribe over there. I would greatly appreciate it. I am going to say this, the chat box is down, so I can't see any comments that might be being made over on Facebook right now. I will go back through and read them later, but at this time I don't have a chat window up. I need to concentrate on setting up this video for the Aquarians. So I'm not ignoring you guys, okay? I just can't see your comments if you're watching right now live as this is going up live right now. What else? Oh, you can follow me on Instagram at Engelgeist333. That's another way to support the channel. Any likes and shares, I greatly, greatly appreciate. Like, if you're watching this live right now, hit the like. It helps the algorithm and it helps YouTube see that I'm getting, that people are enjoying my content, okay? And if you're watching over on Facebook and you have a YouTube account, go search out my videos and hit like on them, please. I would greatly appreciate it, because I don't think that they see the likes that are placed on Facebook as much as they see they're chronicling or checking the ones that are happening on YouTube. So help me by supporting the channel, and I will help you by giving you these predictions. Now, I also am going to caveat this with this. I've said this to all of the other signs also. As we get later out into the year, these things are more malleable, right? So things that I'm predicting maybe in, say, the summer or fall of next year, there's more room for interpretation, there's more room for change and free will and all of those things. So nothing that I say here is set in stone. So I often suggest, and I have suggested to all of the other signs, please take what you like and leave the rest. If you appreciate the entirety of the reading, certainly take it all. That's what it's here for. But if there's anything that doesn't resonate with you, that's completely fine and okay. Don't worry. Maybe it's just not a message for you, or it's not a reading that pertains to your situation. The intention as I'm sitting here shuffling is asking Spirit to give me a reading that best suits sort of all of the people that may tune in at any given time, right? So this becomes sort of like a timeless thing where if you're watching this even a few months in to the year of 2020, hopefully it will still pertain and make sense, right? And for those of you that are watching now to get insight, please come back and rewatch the video maybe mid-year and see whether or not it made sense or it added up, or the things that were predicted, did they happen, did they not? Leave me a comment then. I would just be interested to know, because doing these have been very interesting. It's neat to see how each sign kind of is going to be entering into 2020 and what they're working on throughout the year, the themes that they're dealing with. All right, so let's get into Aquarius. See what's going on for my Aquarians. My moon is in Aquarius, so this will be interesting, but I'm taking myself out of this. So for our first year, for our first month, we have January, which is the Two of Pentacles. So this is an earth sign, right? Pentacles being the element of earth. We're kicking off, to me it feels rather balanced. It may not be, when I'm looking at this card, it doesn't necessarily feel like we maybe have the finances that we want, but I feel like this idea, or I'm hearing the word contentment, right? Like we're content, we're okay where we're at. She's sort of like standing here, and I feel like she's sort of twirling in her dress and feeling her oats, so to speak, right? So I'm going to say that my Aquarians are probably walking into the year not full on bold and like crazy, but content, happy. This feels balanced to me. This feels, there might be some work that we need to do in our financial sector or in our material area. And when I talk about material, I'm talking about anything from romance to relationships to our home life to our work life, career, that sort of thing. That's the realm of pentacles, right? So, but to me, the two feels in balance as I look at these two coins here that are sort of like over her head. They could signify, yes, we want a little bit more, or we want to deepen that relationship to our ability to create. But I do get this sense from looking at her in the way that she's holding her dress and the way that she's holding herself. I feel like my Aquarians are walking into January feeling, really the word is content. I know I've said that like 3 times, but that's really, there's a pleased with ourselves attitude I feel here. Is there room for work? Completely. Is there room for improvement? Totally. But are we okay with where we're at? I really feel like we are. Now, if I have some Aquarians out there that are going, who is this bitch? What is he saying? I don't know. You might have heavily placed planets in other signs that might be affecting that. But to me, this feels like there's a peace and there's a room. There's kind of like, if, let's say this, if you are having an issue or you've been having an issue in 2019, the month of January in 2020 is going to be that time where you're actually able to find some balance around that situation, some peace around that situation, and be able to maybe breathe a little bit so that you can then maybe address it, grow it, create more of it, whatever that is that you need to do. But I really see that January is this time where we can sort of reel things in, balance them out, and start to focus on what we do have versus what we don't. Right? And be grateful. There's this that contentment that I was saying. There's a gratitude for these 2 pentacles that are here that sort of brings everything into balance, and we start to see things through maybe new eyes for those of us that might be feeling the push or feeling that things aren't working out for us. But those of us that do feel like things have been working out for us, or things are good right now, or they're stable, we're really appreciating that in this card in the month of January. Okay, so to me, walk into January feeling at peace, feeling content, feeling grateful for what you have. And I feel like, as I'm saying that to you, and I'm looking at this card, what I'm hearing is that the more of that gratitude that you can have as you enter into the year, the more it's going to pay off for you throughout this year, okay, through 2020. So let's look at the next card, which is February. February is the 8 of Swords. So this 8 of Swords is always about sort of compassion. Swords deals with the element of air and intellect, but this is your guys' element, right? So that's not necessarily a bad thing. The 8 of Swords to me feels like there might be a situation here. When I'm looking at these swords today and in this reading, what I'm feeling is there is a sort of a pinch that's happening here with these eight swords pointing down at this person. There is a situation here that sort of needs to be addressed or needs to be sort of shifted and changed. I feel like it's like an assistance that you may give to this situation, but I feel like ultimately what I'm hearing, or like what I feel like compelled to say, is that it's time to let this situation go. It's gone on for far too long. It feels to me a bit like it's time to give one last sort of amount of assistance to this thing and then move on. Does that make sense? And the reason why I say that, there's this person laying here and then there's this other person leaning over helping him. And I feel like this is an opportunity for us to be compassionate in our thinking and that sort of thing. But these 8 swords feel to me sort of oppressive when I look at this card. And that's not necessarily the traditional meaning of the 8 of Swords, but what I'm feeling from this card and what I'm looking at, the way that it's feeling in this reading is that because we've come into this year sort of feeling balanced or happy, maybe a little bit content, we have a little bit of extra energy as we head into February to sort of help those around us that may need it. But I feel like these Eight Swords feel like this is a situation that we've been helping or giving to for a long time. And so the reason why I say this is I feel like this person here is going to help this person and then get up and walk that way. Like, take off. There's another card I want to say, is it the Five of Swords where he's jumping the fence? It sort of feels like that to me. But I feel like this is an opportunity for us to be at least compassionate in our thoughts towards others, but I definitely feel like this is a situation, these Eight Swords tell me, the eight of them, right? The number eight, it feels like this situation has been around for a while. It's been something that has either been surfacing and then backing off and then coming back again. It's back again in February. This could be a relationship, this could be a family relationship, this could be a friendship, this could be something that's bearing heavy on us or that we still continue to give love to and compassion to, and we will do it one more time. But I really get a sense of this is the month that we sort of let go of it, or we begin to sort of really assess our thoughts around it, how much we're giving to it. Is it giving back to us? Is it time to let this go? The next card is for March. This is the Knave of Wands. This is the first time he's shown up. I've not seen him before, so this is kind of cool. So, I like him because he is the element of fire, which is, Wands is the element of fire, and fire is the opposite of the air signs, which is what you are. Fire can sometimes consume, needs air to consume or to burn, right? It needs oxygen. So I sort of see the fire element like coinciding or coexisting with the element of air, right? But I also want to say that, like, be mindful, fire can burn up all of your oxygen or all of your resources. I don't think that this is that in that way. When I look at this Knave of Wands, to me this feels like about learning about our spiritual connection to self, learning about what it is that we need in our life, and putting the focus back on ourselves and our spirit. Sort of like, here we're coming to January feeling good and balanced. Here we're given to situations that maybe have kind of taken our attention, maybe our thoughts. They're not necessarily a situation that I feel like is giving back to us in a very good way. Even though this is us doing the right thing by the situation, I kind of feel like it's time to let go of the situation. As we do that, we move into this Knave of Wands, which is this sort of space of honoring ourselves from a spiritual space, honoring ourselves and our needs first. How he's sort of standing here solitary by himself. He's looking at this beautiful flower, which to me signifies our own beauty or our own growth, our own capability, our own fragility. But we also have the strength of the wand. So to me, this is about learning about our own limitations, and that's coming from this situation here, learning about, what we deserve and what we want at a deeper spiritual level, and coming into contact with that and kind of honoring that. That's why he's holding this flower with reverence. Like, it's up to us to sort of grow that that connection to spirit within us, and that's the strength of the wand here is representational of that. But I also see the way that he's holding and caring for this flower and admiring and appreciating this flower is sort of what we need to be doing by March for ourselves, because being a knave, it says that there's an opportunity here to keep an open mind. There's also an opportunity here to sort of learn new things about ourselves at a deeper spiritual level, new ways of honoring ourselves at a deeper spiritual level. It's sort of like whatever honor or validation we may have been looking from this situation that we weren't getting mentally, we will be able to give to ourselves at some level spiritually in the month of March. So keep that in mind, or keep on the lookout for that as you're moving through March, because there's definite, with a knave being there, there's definite opportunities for room for growth. And it's kind of, because it's a court card, it's sort of significant growth, right? It's not just any one of the minor arcana cards. To me, court cards have a little bit extra push. Now, April, we have the Chariot. So I like this. As we're honoring ourselves and we're sort of, connecting to ourselves in the strength of this spiritual sort of, how do I want to say this, like maybe repurposing or reassessing and sort of deciding to honor the spirit. The Chariot is fired up and ready to come in and sort of take us off to new opportunities. That's this castle on the top of the hill. The Chariot's always sort of swift, decisive movement. Sometimes it can move in a way that might be a little bit uncomfortable for us because it might feel a little bit outside of our control. But I don't necessarily think that this is that. I feel like this is an opportunity to sort of reposition ourselves or change ourselves in the month of April. That is going to be significant and is going to have long-term sort of opportunity for us. But we have to be willing to make that jump or make that move, make that change. And now I'm hearing, what is it, Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror, where he says, you gotta make that change. Yeah, so make that change. So, and we're doing that here too in this sort of, this Knave of Wands, like we're appreciating ourselves in a different way. We're understanding maybe where we've been giving ourselves, our thought, our attention to situations that aren't necessarily serving us always. And so we're appreciating ourselves in a different way. And because of that, we're ready to sort of move on in life and go to places that sort of maybe weren't necessarily made available to us. And now they are very readily available. And these things could be like changes in home life, changes in, work life, changes in relationships, but they will be significant and they will move swiftly in the month of April. So be on the lookout for that. Buckle up, so to speak. Take the ride and let it sort of carry you to this new sort of opportunity. Right now, we have the Ten of Swords. To me, tens are always about, in tarot, tens are always about completions of cycles. And when I'm looking at this Eight of Swords here, and I said that we're going to need to walk away, and quite possibly in the month of March, we'll be sort of finding this newfound appreciation for ourselves that isn't necessarily how we commonly see ourselves. When we start to move on, I think that this moving on, in whatever way that takes form for you, right? In this moving on, we really do come to a completion come May of letting go of whatever this situation was, whatever thoughts were no longer serving us, whatever things were no longer, like the battle is over is kind of how I feel. We have two nursemaids here taking care of this man, right? And with all of these swords pointed down and some laying here on the ground. To me, this almost feels like us nursing ourselves or us caring for ourselves. This feels like May is a significant time, and I feel like I've said this in some of the other readings. I'm not sure. I know this card has shown up for some other signs, but I'm not sure if it was in this actual month. But I feel like I've said in this month through other cards that this may be, in other signs, that this may be a very important self-care month. This is a month where we sort of assess our thoughts and sort of give ourselves the opportunity to heal, release, and complete whatever is no longer serving us, letting it go, and sort of rejuvenating ourselves and preparing ourselves for the rest of the year to come, right? We're just about to hit the midpoint of the year. So this is about, and again, this is our home element of air. So this is a very comfortable month for us, I think. It's a month where we do well. There's an abundance of thought and abundance of all of these swords everywhere. But what I feel like is going on here is this is almost like a nurturing and a real release that is going to be beneficial for my Aquarians in the month of May, right? So just be mindful of that. Allow for your thoughts to go down that route. Allow for your thoughts to sort of heal you. Allow for your thoughts to be a central focus during the month of May. And I'm going to shut this window really quick. Sorry, the sun's coming in so strong I don't think you can see the cards very well. Is that better? I don't know. Can you guys see the cards? I think that's a little bit better. Okay, so that is for your month of May. Now June is a beautiful card. This is the Empress. So the Empress is all about, to me, fertility, compassion, creation. Let's turn on the light in here, give a little bit of light so I can see what I'm doing now. Sorry guys, I should have been better prepared for this. I didn't expect the sun to come raring like it did. So the Empress, it's funny, we have these nursemaids here nursing ourselves back to health, where I feel like this is us sort of honoring ourselves and caring for ourselves within our own home element of the swords and the element of the air. Here we have the Empress, where we're really, I feel like, honoring ourselves come June. And we have these two handmaidens here fanning us, which are similar to these handmaidens that are taking care of us. The difference that I'm going to say between these two cards, even though they look very similar as far as the activities that's happening on them, is this is us caring for ourselves. This is us allowing others to care for us. This is us finally getting back, I feel like, the acknowledgement that we were looking for back here from the situation that we had to leave behind, where we give that one last sort of like dose of compassion, or that one last try in the month of February before we let it go. Now, this situation could be multiple things. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a relationship. It could be a job, or it could be I don't know, just some sort of situation that we keep repeating over and over again, expecting different results, and we're not getting it. So we give that one last sort of acknowledgement, or that one last bit of compassion or care towards it, and then we let it go. We really take into account that this has maybe been a dead weight, or something that we've been dealing with through 2019 that we no longer need, right? And so when we get to June, by June, we're actually sort of feeling empowered. We've healed ourselves through May. We've moved forward in April. We've healed ourselves in May and let go, done this completion and taken the time to heal ourselves, right? I feel like these two nurses, to me, these nursemaids feel like an aspect of ourselves, of really taking care of ourselves and turning our attention onto ourselves. And then we're allowed to sort of come out in June and really be appreciated. And in doing so, we allow others to kind of appreciate us in all of our Empress finery. Now, the Empress is also major arcana, so this is a significant month also. And when we are appreciated and we're validated, those can create very significant feelings and joy within us. The Empress is compassionate and loving, and for those of you, I don't like to predict births. I'm not a doctor, but this card is also very synonymous with the idea of birth. So those of you that might, be in relationships where you could potentially be thinking about a baby, or wanting a baby, or desirous of a baby, this could be a month where that could happen for some of you, okay? I know that not all of you want a child, and not all of you are female. So, but this would be an ideal month. I mean, she's definitely a signifier or harbinger of the idea of childbirth. So for some of you that may be watching, this could be the month where we get that opportunity. But for those of you, for the majority of you, or for actually even those of you that would be having a baby during this time, that would be also where we would rely on the help of others and really allow ourselves to accept that help, understand that we deserve that help, and that appreciation, that validation from our outside world. The Empress, she has that, right? She gets that in spades. She's appreciated in that way. So allow that appreciation to come in from our environment around us and really soak it in. Really allow it. To me, it feels well deserved. It feels deserved here. It feels deserved here, and it feels deserved here. Like we've even here. I'm going to say this with this Two of Pentacles. It feels like we came into the year sort of soft and balanced and really trying to appreciate what we had. We gave to situations that maybe didn't necessarily deserve our time anymore, in one last act of compassion before maybe moving on. We start to balance and strengthen our relationship to our more spiritual self. We trust ourselves and the universe to move forward in the Chariot. We then take the time to sort of heal ourselves and do any sort of completions around old behaviors or thoughts, or situations that weren't necessarily serving us, and releasing them, and allowing sort of new thought to come in, the abundance of new thought, and letting go of stuff that no longer serve us, healing any wounds that we might be still carrying from 2019, and moving into this position of by June, we're really feeling good, we're feeling honored, and understanding of that, that we deserve that honor, right? So the next card, beautiful, for this would be July, is the Ace of Swords. And this is this is no joke. This is all about your guys' element. This is all about ruling in your element, and owning it from a place of empowerment, right? The Ace of Swords is always about clarity of thought. It's always about inspired thought, change, bringing about change in one's thinking, one's trajectory, where one is headed. And so to me, this looks like, when I look at this card, it feels like sort of taking life and really choosing mentally at a mental level with your thoughts, with a clarity, without any sort of disillusionment or doubt or anything like that. We're coming in off of the power of this Empress, right? And understanding what we deserve and being appreciated. We're able to use that to sort of make clear thought and move ourselves into the future. I feel like this angel here, she's pushing her way into the future. This sword is pointing its way into the future, ready to sort of go after whatever goals, whatever achievements we want to achieve. This feels like that big push, that big, clear, decisive, bring down the sword, let's make it happen, no holds barred. The thoughts are there, the path is sort of, we've thought it out, and we've kind of, we see the steps very clearly, right? And we've got a plan in place for whatever it is we want to create. If that's like a new relationship, if that's a new job, whatever that is for you at this time, utilize that energy in this month to really propel yourself forward in a profound and strong, clear way. The next card is the Seven of Wands. So I like this card because there's a lot of partnership going on. I'm seeing this, even though we have this these two nursemaids that I sort of see as an aspect of yourself. This feels more like self-care to me. We have these two women here. We have these two women here. We also have like my Aquarian here. We also have the Aquarius helping someone or a situation here. And then we have this new sort of bond that's happening here between these two. And this is the Seven of Wands, which again is a sort of spiritual bond. And even when we look at this Knave of Wands, it's like him and this flower or this wand, there is a bond that's happening there within ourselves, right? So to me, when I'm looking at these 8 cards or this 8 months, this journey is really looking about sort of the connection and appreciation of oneself and what we deserve, and then also the feeling of that through our interactions with others. Does that make sense? Like that sort of seems to be like the story that's being told to me in these cards, or where I'm feeling like the significance is for my Aquarians, is like, as you guys deepen your relationship to yourself and really understand how awesome you are, what you truly deserve, you start to not only like heal yourself up, but you allow others to come in and honor you and validate you in ways that you might have been seeking throughout the last decade, and it hasn't been happening quite completely. Like I feel like you guys might have been having to muster that up for yourself. Well, to me, this sort of feels like this is the year where we finally start to really own what we've been through and own who we are, and really be appreciated from that space. And in that appreciation, not only from ourselves, we start to get it from our outside world, and the outside world acknowledging it for us deepens that relationship within ourselves at a spiritual level, and it makes us all the more stronger. We see that reflected in the Empress and in this Ace of Swords. This summertime period is going to be, I feel like, what is this, June and July, it's going to be very strong for you guys. It's going to be very much a high point and very beneficial. It leads into the Seven of Wands, which to me, this feels like the deepening of relationships. This could be sort of a deepening of friendships, the deepening of even, maybe even, you know, a business partnership for some of you to that degree. Whatever it is, it's like solidifying things at a more spirit-based level. And also, I feel like when I'm looking at these two, I feel like they're being appreciative of one another. I feel like they're working together. Like I almost see like them sort of reaching out to shake hands and move forward into the rest of the year. And they're sort of putting out that good spiritual energy with these wands sitting up here above them. It's like sort of projecting that out into the world. So be on the lookout in this month for opportunities with another person. And I don't necessarily feel like this is a romantic card. I mean, it could be significant of romance, but I don't feel like that's necessarily the case. I mean, you could actually find romance in this month of June with this Empress card, more so than I would feel like here. This feels to me like uh, friends, family, business partnerships, things like that being just deeper, made stronger, made more solid through this like deepening of the connection that may already exist, or the appreciation that comes from that relationship, really being appreciative of that. So you're able to in that appreciation or that gratitude, you're able to strengthen that bond. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So this is your September. Your September is the Knave of Pentacles. Okay, so remember when I said this Two of Pentacles at the beginning of the year? It may be like it's like we have enough, it's in balance, we're content. There's room for more. I feel like this Knave is that room for more. I feel like this is the beginning of starting to, and it's funny because I feel like this could be like some sort of like businessy thing too, or the appreciation of others. Leading up to this, it's about sort of relying on the help of others here in June, or allowing others to appreciate us and validate us for who we are and what we're worth. Utilizing that clarity of that thought and that awareness of our own personal power in our own element, and moving forward in that to this place of the Seven of Wands, where we start to strengthen those relationships, be it friendships, business relationships, familial relationships, but we rely on that support and that acknowledgement and that validation in a very big way, and it has a very lasting impact. That opens us up to this Knave of Pentacles, where we start to be open and optimistic about our finances, about changing some of those finances, and the creation of new ones, right? And from there, we start to learn how to grow our finances, grow our, if it's our romantic life that we want to grow. This is the material realm. This is the symbol of Earth, so it can represent as, not only just money, but it can be a relationship. Say we want a really deep love relationship. This is about learning how to go about getting that, how to start taking first steps to building better friendships. We've already been doing that here in the 7, and even way back here in the 8, we were giving to situations that maybe weren't giving back to us. But with this Knave of Pentacles, it really says that we start to get kind of more active in the creation of that, be it money, romance, stability, whatever it is that we're seeking in our material world. Now is the time to really start to put together, to open up our minds, and then to educate ourselves in how to go about getting it. Now, we may not feel like we totally know the way. We felt more self-assured here with this Ace of Swords, but this Ace of Swords energy that we set forth in this month will lead us down the path to allow us to begin that creation. Will there be some mistakes? Possibly. Possibly, because this is the Knave. But that's okay. We learn from those mistakes and we still move on. There is a sense of power in the Knave, or there is an opportunity for learning in the Knave that we need to have happen, so that these changes, or these desires that we're trying to achieve on a material plane or on a material level of existence, are long-lasting and real, right? So we will need to sort of maybe make a few mistakes here and there in our pursuit of them, but that's okay, because they are educating us if there are those mistakes that happen. Now, here's the Three of Swords. This card has shown up in a couple of other readings too, and it's kind of funny to me because this is sort of like a last minute clean out. That's how I'm seeing this card lately. These swords here, and I'm going to say this, I said it in the other two readings, the other two signs that had this. Now, if your sun, moon, and rising are in the 3 signs that have this, you guys definitely have some heart work that you're going to be dealing with in 2020. And that's okay. And it's going to surface probably at different times throughout the year due to your different your 3 different signs. I'm going to have to go back and maybe see which ones had these cards, because I'm interested to know, because if you have any combination of those 3 signs in your major placements, you could be dealing with a lot of clearing away of past pain, and it's all really good, right? But to me, what I said to the other 2 signs is that yes, in the past, there are situations and things that can be said to us that can hurt our heart. But as we grow into adulthood and we have ownership over our heart and what we choose to sort of focus on, where we choose to keep our thoughts. If we're keeping our thoughts on the pain, we continue to own these sort of swords and keep them in place. And it's really up to us. When I look at this card, it's really up to us to sort of remove these swords, is how I see this card. And it's some of it is the art design with this deck. But to me, I feel like this is this angel here is like spirit trying to help us. It can represent as our own soul. It can also represent as the soul of a spirit guide or even our own guardian angel that is around us at this time to help us to remove these sort of past hurts, past pains, anything that we need to sort of let go of in 2020 as his arm is pointed forward towards the last 2 months of the year and into 2021. It's like, okay, guys, let's do this last bit of work. This is, again, the sign of swords. This is your element. This is the element of air or the intellect, right? The thoughts that we keep in our heart that limit us. And so if we have anything still there, we've come to this completion here. We've been giving, and I feel like we're pinned here. We've got a lot of our own element happening throughout the year, which is really beneficial and great. And then the counterpart to that is the complementary element of fire. We have a lot of fire happening. So this is a definite like sort of growth pattern as we sort of clean up our thoughts, clean up our past pain, let go of old situations that are no longer giving to us. We come to this completion here right before the mid of the year. We start to really appreciate ourselves. We move forward in that appreciation and deepen our relationships and become open to sort of exploring new ideas about how we exist on the material plane and what we want to create for ourselves. And in doing so, there is some work here that needs to be changed. There is some thoughts here that need to be let go of. There are some things that we hold in our heart that it's time to release and work to be done in the month of October. And as we do that, we are guided by our own spirit or by our spirit guides or our angels, our guardian angels, but they will assist us in allowing ourselves to heal that. There is a sense of, with this Ten of Swords too, there is this sense of going back a few times this year for my Aquarians to be conscious of your own self-care and your own self-healing and the releasing and completion of some of these old patterns and things that we don't want to take into the next decade with us too deeply, right? So 2020 is about sort of, to me, when I'm looking at these cards, the letting go of that and the sort of the hills and valleys of what happens around that work, right? This to me does not feel insurmountable. It just feels like the last few really deep wounds that we have to kind of come into understanding that as adults now, we hold them in our heart. If we choose to keep them there, if we choose to allow that pain to reside there, then they become our responsibility. We're just as much guilty as inflicting that pain on ourselves as the actual original situation was. Do you see what I'm saying? So if we don't let go of that, or we don't do that work to sort of heal that up and remove those swords, then carrying that through our life is sort of on us. And I hope that doesn't offend you or upset you, but that's kind of really how I'm seeing this card in these spreads with this turnover into the new decade. It really is calling out to the signs that this card has shown up for. It's calling out saying, okay guys, we're grown-ups now. That was in the past. It's time to remove those swords, clear our heart, and move into 2020 to create really beautiful, wonderful things, right? So the next card is for November. I love it. We have the Justice card. Again, major arcana. So I think she is a turning point. I love that we are represented by the Empress and then by Justice, another strong feminine card. Now, Justice is usually portrayed with a blindfold on. This Justice in this deck does not have that blindfold on, so I love it because I feel like she sees, she understands. We know by this point in November the work that we've done throughout the year. We know what we deserve, we know what we want, we know what we appreciate, like in the Seven of Wands, and in the appreciation we receive here is the Empress, the Ace of Swords. This summertime is really going to be wonderful for you guys, is how I feel. It's going to be a bit transformative towards the end of the summer, and we might feel a little bit unsure of ourselves, but that's okay. That sets us up to do this sort of last minute, really important kind of clearing work of anything that sort of we don't want to have in our space anymore that like maybe belongs to other people, their opinions of us, their mistakes in the way that they've treated us in the past, whatever. It's time to let those things fall away or remove them from our heart, right? And move forward with our guides, with our angels, however you want to see that. When we do that, we really settle into this beautiful space of this Justice card. We're getting what we deserve. We're transforming from this Two of Pentacles, which is sort of this gratitude or this contentment. We're like, actually, we have quite a bit beyond that by this point, right? I love that she is holding this sword. I love that we have all of this swords energy and all this work that we're doing in our home element of the swords and the element of the air. She is sort of owning this sword. She has it pointed down and grounded into the ground. She knows who she is. She has balance here, which is that same balance that's reflected here in the number 2 that we entered into. And oh my God, remember when I said that as we enter in with this balance, it's going to sort of set the tone for what we receive by the end of the year? So we have the balance here. I don't know if you guys are seeing this, and maybe I look like a cuckoo, but we have this balance here between the 2 pentacles. She's holding a scales here, guys. And to me, this is the scales here. So as we enter in sort of complete or feeling content with what we have, even if it isn't enough, we will create more as we go throughout the year. Be aware of that as you enter into January. Even if things aren't perfect, try to find the areas where you have gratitude and focus on those things, because by the year's end you are going to have so much more and so much more composure, control, awareness. This Justice card, she demands to be treated fairly. She demands to be and I don't mean that in like an aggressive sort of way. It's sort of like similar to this Empress, where we've acknowledged who we are and what we deserve, and with this Justice card she sees very clearly who she is. She's a fair, just, honorable person. She's capable. She's taken this sword that we have here in the Ace of Swords and she's laying it in front of her. She has it at her disposal when she needs it. There's a mastery here, I feel like, with this sword that we will have because we've done all of this sword work throughout the year, because we see all of these situations with these sword cards. We've worked on our thoughts. We've come to completion. We've done this work in the heart area in the fall to sort of remove anything else and really have put ourselves into this position of personal power and empowerment and awareness of our worth in a very profound and substantial way. Hence the Justice card showing up in our November. So the last card is the December card, right? So this is the outcome for the end of the year, and this is the Four of Pentacles. So I like that this is here because we've fours are all about stability, right? And remember when I said 2020, when you boil it down numerologically, it becomes a 4, which is about stability, and we're ending on a 4. We're also beginning on a 2 of Pentacles, we're ending on a 4 of Pentacles, and we have this Knave of Pentacles here. So there is some of you that are wanting certain things materially, be it relationship stability and relationship stability and money, stability in jobs, whatever that is, home stability. I think that the creation of that is happening for my Aquarians throughout the year of 2020. This 4 says to me, again, and I'm seeing similarities here, we have this scale here. He's carrying a scale there. He's climbing these sort of, this little small mountain. He sees it before he gets there, similar to how the Justice card sees things before. She's not blinded like the traditional depiction of justice. She is, she's aware and she sees those sort of things. As I see him, he's a male in the card, which depicts a more assertive attitude, a more go-getter kind of attitude in December. But there's a stability, a creation of stability, and a willingness to go out and get it in a balanced sort of way that says to me that whatever it is we want, by year's end, we will really, in the month of December, we will really be pursuing it actively, methodically, in a balanced, fair way, where yes, there might be hang-ups. That's that little mound of dirt in front of his feet, but we will clearly see those things before they arrive, and we won't allow them to impede our search or stop us. We'll just sort of step over them or around them, right? So I think that this card, this 4, says that whatever it is that we feel that we're lacking in the 2 that we have in January, as long as we're grateful and we enter 2020 with a sort of pure heart of gratitude, and we do the work that's in front of us, continuing with that pure heart, because I see that in the 2nd month with that 8, where we're giving that compassion to a situation that doesn't necessarily deserve it one last time. And then with that 10, we're giving that compassion to ourselves. In that self-care card, we really are prepping ourselves and getting ourselves ready to position ourselves into a place of authority with that Justice card, that we can move on through the last month of the year in a balanced manner that's stable, that's pursuing and building and growing whatever it is that we feel as though we need on the material plane. Okay? And you'll know what that is for you as you get closer to the end of the year. It'll be whatever it is you're seeking. Is it romance that you're seeking? Is it money that you're seeking? Is it, I don't know, stability within your family? Whatever that is, that 4 of Pentacles says to me that you have a very good chance of achieving that from a very balanced and logical pursuit of it. Okay? Now, I'm shuffling the deck again for 3 cards. I'm pulling 3 cards that give overview to the health, love, and wellness. Health, love, and finance. I am going to say this. I'm going to caveat with this, guys. I am not a doctor by any means. None of my cards should be taken over a doctor's advice. I'm also not a financial advisor. So these are just little insights into what the overview will be in those 3 departments, because those seem to be the things that people are most concerned about. But do not utilize my reads or my takes on what is here over that of the advice of a professional. If you have any issues with your finances or your health, please go get assistance from a medical or financial professional, okay? But this is just to give you a little insight as to what the theme may be, or what, the overarching theme of the year will be for you guys. So we have health, love, and finance. And again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button, especially on YouTube, please. Okay, so this is for your health. Your health is the 3 of Pentacles, which to me is I feel like this is actually a really good card here. Again, I see a partnership happening. We have these 2 people talking, which is very similar to the 2 nurses, the 2 ladies fanning, and the 7 of Wands here, and in the 8 of Swords here. We have a lot of activity with our outside environment and those within it. But I feel like this is my Aquarians here. Is this guy here. He always pulls my attention in this card. He feels very relaxed. And I feel like health is not big on the docket for us this year, right? I feel like those of you that might be dealing with health issues or have more intense health issues that you're processing through 2019, you might actually get a little bit of a break or a little bit of some ease around those things, maybe a windfall or a shift, a sea change in your health that might actually feel better, and this is going to allow you to breathe a little bit. I feel like there is a relaxation that comes with this card. So, and those of you that are not necessarily dealing with health issues, right? Continue to keep this kind of air of ease that I feel in this card, because I feel like the things that you guys are doing throughout this year are actually building yourselves up in such a way that it's going to add to your health or to the benefit of your health. I like that we have Pentacles here in the health department, because that is definitely health would be an earthbound element situation. So to me, this feels in line and in the right element within the right issue. Does that make sense? And it also feels very much at ease. So I like that we're coming in contentment and ease, or we're at least attempting to have gratitude for what it is we do have. And here, our health is sort of also in this place of ease. Rely on others, or share that what I'm getting with this couple here, or them sort of discussing, I feel like enjoying those around you, enjoying your environment around you is key. That's part of letting go of whatever this is in February, as we continue to enjoy and then allow our environment to treat us back the way we deserve to be treated in this Empress card, and again in this Justice card. This also adds to this sort of health that we have and that we see in this Three of Pentacles. Now, for the love department, oh my gosh, not the best card. Every time I see this card, I think it's the Fool or the Hanged Man. I get sort of thrown off. Sometimes I feel like it looks like the Fool to me upside down, like, you know how he's usually jumping off the cliff. It looks like the card's upside down, but then when I see the numbers upside right, I think, oh, is that the Hangman? But no, in this deck, this is the Tower. The Tower is, I think, a great card. Most people don't. The Tower, for me, is the card that is like doing for us what we are unwilling to do for ourselves. That's the problem that most people, I believe, have with the Tower, is that it's generally a situation that feels outside of their control, that feels like it's being rearranged or changed in some way that feels dramatic or upsetting because we thought it was going to be something that would stay that way forever. To me, this being in the love department for my Aquarians, this says to me that there is definitely an overhaul that needs to happen in the relationships that might already be in existence for the viewers that are watching this. And for those of you that are looking or seeking a relationship of any sort of significance, I don't necessarily know that this is the year to find it. And part of that is maybe some of these self-esteem issues that you're working on and that you're sort of achieving strides in with the Empress and the Justice card. Those things need to happen throughout this year first before the love scenario can be worked out. Like, to me, this feels like it's swirling around in a circle here. We're like being whipped around in the tornado, so to speak, as we go through this year doing the work and sort of removing these last minute pins in our heart, that sort of thing. Because come December, like I said, whatever it is that we're looking for on the material plane, we will go about finding it in a more assertive and balanced manner. So those of us that might have been desirous coming into 2020 of, oh, I wish I had a boyfriend, I wish things were great, or, you know, I would say let go of that. This Tower card to me says that it's not time. It says that if we brought this in, it would just be destructive or upsetting to us at some level, or it would deter us from doing the work that I see that's in these cards that really is of great benefit to us. Because if we throw some sort of love relationship into this mix too early on, I feel like we might lose sight of, say, this self-healing here, this Empress card. We might not actually have these moments that we need to have this year so that we can get to where we want to get to build something that's actually stable and long-lasting that I see here in this 4. So think about that. You know, if you don't like that as an answer, because I know a lot of you guys seek love and want to know about your love stuff, it just doesn't feel like it's the Aquarian's year for love. Let's just say that. Or there's some rearranging that needs to happen in our perceptions of love, in what we desire for love, in what we're willing to accept for love, what we're willing to sacrifice for love. I just feel like this card to me feels a little bit too much, too tumultuous to really want to entertain right now. And there's a lot of really beneficial things happening in these other cards, I feel like, and a lot of really beautiful changes that need to take place that will actually set us up to have a more nice, longer lasting love in the long run if we're just patient through this year. Now, the next card, this is our finance card. Ooh, bitches. So this is the 6 of Pentacles. I'm going to say this. I feel like this is a good card because, again, it's Pentacles in finance, right? So we're talking material wealth in the material space. Great, right? The 6 to me, though, with this deck, it always makes me feel a little bit extravagant. It has to do with these 2 ladies. And again, we have 2 ladies. It's, again, our environment. You know, there's these 2 ladies sort of tittering about there, right? And who doesn't love a good titter, right? My Aquarius, you love to titter. Tittering bitches. I'm just kidding. So this 6 of Pentacles, it could speak to the idea of abundance and wealth, but to me, this feels like I hear a definite warning when it flips. with this card. I feel like there's an extravagance to this woman here that it's like, be mindful of your finances this year. I know we're going to be feeling our oats in the Empress, and we're going to be feeling good in justice, and we're going to have been doing hard work throughout the year. We may want to splurge for ourselves, and we may want to sort of give ourselves a little bit more, but let's be honest, this Two of Pentacles says to us that there is work that needs to be done in our financial sector, or that we might have enough, but it's not quite enough to be living as high on the hog as this chick is, right? And so I feel like this is like maybe the desire to be a little bit spendthrifty or a little bit extravagant, and that's okay. We may want to treat ourselves at times, but let's remember that that's not true self-care. Let's keep that in mind, because I feel like there is a warning with this card that there is the possibility of maybe being overindulgent and setting yourself up for a little bit of financial strain throughout this year if you're not careful, okay? I don't necessarily see that in these 12 cards, and I actually see, to be honest, there's a building of self-esteem and self-worth that happens throughout these 12 cards, that by the end of the year, in next December, we really are manifesting more, and at that point in time, we probably could be spending more extravagantly, but we may have to wait through the year. So this says to me, you know what you have and enjoy what you have, but be mindful of the overspending, right? That's what I'm sort of getting from this card. It's like, enjoy yourself, but, be practical, okay? And don't listen to others necessarily in the realm of finances. I feel like that woman in the back behind her is whispering in her ear. And so it's telling me that, like, the card is telling me, or what I'm hearing is that not everybody understands our financial situation or has the best advice for us. So just be mindful of that throughout the year. So the next card that I am shuffling, as if those 15 cards weren't enough, I have 2 more to go. This is a small deck called Divine Doors. And as I shuffle this deck, I ask Spirit for what doors are the Aquarians opening or closing in the year of 2020, okay? So this kind of gives us a little insight, a little something to focus on what doors are we opening or closing in the year, I keep saying month, in the year of 2020, for the sign of Aquarius. So here we go. So I'm going to just describe this door for me for a minute here. So this is a very stately door. It's very clean, concise, beautiful, well cared for, is how I feel. It's strong, and it's, I love this white purity around it, which to me, this white trim around it sort of speaks to some of these wands things, this connection to spirit, this deepening of spirit, these opportunities here to connect with ourselves more deeply, right? So that makes me feel like we're almost shielded or protected by spirit, or connecting with spirit in a different way in 2020. I love that this is a stately door. I love that this is to me, this door feels like the Empress, like honored, and a thing of beauty, and not exonerated, but exalted like that, right? Also the Justice card. There's sort of a clean appreciation of this door. This is not a heavy door. This is to me, like, this doesn't feel like a very old door either, right? Some of the doors that have come up in the other signs have been like, oh shit, y'all are delving into your inner child stuff. This to me feels more current, more now, more who we are today. And it's well kept, well cared for. So let's see what the theme is for it. Inner power. By your own command, you brought yourself here, and at this moment in life, you have nothing to fear. So to me, that's sort of like the door that you guys are opening, and I definitely see that in this Justice card and in the Empress card. It's this idea of working within your own element and the deepening of spirit, working through the Swords energy and the Air energy, and the deepening of the spirit with the Wands energy, and those 2 Knaves, which are also open-minded opportunities to learn about ourselves, to gain that inner power. And so this is about finding that for yourself this year, guys. And it's going to be an amazing year, I think, if you guys do the work and you don't get too caught up. I do think I'm going to go back to this as I'm looking at this inner power card sitting next to that tower card in the love department. Those of you that decide to pursue a relationship this year, that tower card says to me, be mindful. Especially next to that inner power card right now, only because it's saying if you're taking on the wrong situation, it could just be a big like spin cycle situation that sort of steers you off course, and it could be significant. The tower is not a joke in the sense that it is major arcana, so you have things like, I'm gonna say this: your significant months with the major arcanas is the month of April with the Chariot, the Empress here in May, and then again we have Justice here in November. So those would be your like really sort of pivotal months. Very powerful cards. This is also a very powerful card in your love department. It has the power to sort of rearrange shit, is what I'm gonna say. And so it feels a bit like a whirlwind. You might want to refrain from getting caught up in it. I don't want to tell anybody what to do throughout the entire year, but if you are really desirous of love and somebody comes along and they look like all of the right things that you want, you know, I would really check for red flags before getting involved, because I feel like that tower card could represent sort of getting caught in a holding pattern or getting sidetracked from getting this work done. And you might not reach some of these cards come the end of the year. Does that make sense, guys? And this inner power really is the goal. There is a beauty and a stateliness to that door that we've been sort of working towards and caring for, and we don't want to give that away just yet. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So the next card is from a deck called Whispering Woods, and I use this because I feel like not only is nature a form of the way that spirit communicates through us, but I feel like nature also, or spirit also whispers messages to us, right? So I use this deck as an overall theme. What do the Aquarians need to like sort of focus on? What is the theme for their year? Okay, so that's what this card is. Sort of like in my daily forecasts, I have the grounding stone. This is kind of like your grounding stone. Interesting. Idle hours. Take some time out to lie on the emerald grass. This to me makes me think of this 10. It immediately takes me to this 10 of Swords, this area in May where we are taking care of ourselves, where we are giving ourselves sort of self-care and focusing that back on ourselves, and then allowing ourselves in the Empress to sort of be doted upon by our environment. I think that, and also even in the Justice card, there's a little bit of appreciation coming from the outside environment that I feel like feels like this in the idle hours. Also, in the health card, we see this person sort of relaxing and being in repose, like in ease, right? And this is very connected to our health, our mental health, our physical health, you know, it being a pentacle sign or a pentacles card. So what I would say here is throughout this year, take time out for yourself. It's very important. Make sure to honor yourself, especially with all of this swords energy, which is that it is your home element of air, right? And it is the intellect, and it's all this thought and growth on a spiritual level with all the wands energy. There's going to be times where you're going to want to take that downtime, and that's the idle hours. Utilize that time to sort of recharge. You're not doing, with this inner power card here and everything that I've talked about in all of these cards, it says to me that there's work happening here that is very important to your own self-worth, to your own self-esteem, to your own relationship to self, and then thus to your relationship to your environment and what you create within it. So keep that in mind. The inner power card is a very strong card. The idle hours is like sort of the opportunity to kind of release or let go, on some of the heavier work that we might be doing throughout the year, so that we can relax and also keep and maintain our health about us, both, you know, say mental health, physical health, emotional health. Keep that in mind. So anything you can do not to waste time, right? Idle hours is when we have those moments of rest, utilize them, enjoy them, relish them, meditate, reflect, just you know, enjoy those around you that you love, the simple things. Again, it's like this two of pentacles that we come into the year on, in that, you know, appreciation and sort of what we have versus focusing on what we don't or what we need, right? And so that's, to me, the idle hours card speaks to like being an appreciation of the moment as we have it, even when we're not necessarily doing much with it. Take that time. It's just as powerful for us this year to recharge as it is when we're doing all of this sort of inner power work throughout the rest of the year. All right, I am going to leave you guys with that. I hope you guys enjoyed this forecast. Come back mid-year or whenever you'd like and rewatch it and let me know if any of this made sense or if you've had any experiences that do fit with these cards. This is the first time that I've done this in this format for a whole year worth for all of the signs. I would love to get constructive feedback. Please give the video a like. You can always contact me for a reading if you would like one. If there's something here that you've seen that you would like more insight on that's specific to you, that can be done. And all that information is in the description box of the video once it uploads. And I look forward to seeing you guys for January's Tarotscopes to further build on this energy. Have a great day and enjoy the rest of your holidays, and have a wonderful 2020. All right, take care. Bye-bye.